Good afternoon, everyone. Mary Sloan here with another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And our guest this afternoon, Coach Steve Feld, is definitely someone making a difference. He asks an interesting question. Do you want more money? Well, that's like pretty easy. Well, guess what? Your money is your message. Steve Feld is a certified business coach, author, professional speaker, podcast host, award-winning business management executive, and coffee enthusiast. Oh, I love my coffee. Yes, yes. His goal is to stop business owners from suffering entrepreneurial depression and to stop making running their business so difficult. He's owned and operated 7 businesses and turned around 3 others, plus written 8 books. He's really had nothing to do with his time, you know. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire him to crack multiple 6 and 7 figures without burning themselves out. So, what is the one thing that you really want our listeners to know that will help them make 6 or 7 figures without burning themselves out?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is your message. So many times business owners are putting out their message. We all hear it. We go to networking events and what do? Then someone delivers their elevator pitch. And meanwhile, you're the recipient of listening to it. And you're trying to find an exit or trying to find someone else to talk to. So it doesn't hit that mark. And we see that with businesses. So they're putting out ads. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Google, whatever kind of ads, local publications, name it. What they're doing is copying someone else's ad because they like it. Well, that ad didn't do anything and it wasn't working, but you just copied a bad ad. Or you think you're the copywriter of the year and you don't know anything about marketing or copywriting. So you got to get in the head of your prospects, really know who your target market is. And I think I see that most with business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, is when I ask them, who is your true target market? And I hope you don't say everyone, because they're not. You really need to know who your market is, what their problems are, and how you solve them. That's how you're going to craft your message. And I see that, I think, number one thing with businesses when they're starting off, they're worried about their logo, their website, all this stuff, when it's like, shouldn't you know who you're trying to sell to? And what their problems are and how you're solving them? That's, to me, that's going to bring in money. Your logo, website, brochure, whatever you want to do, that's expense stuff. You know, that's flash. When you start a business, how many people really go, oh, if you don't have a website, I'm walking away? Who said that?
What's your website? Oh, I don't use one. Oh, that's interesting. You know, they don't care.
No, that's it. You nailed that. I've said so many business owners. I got one business owner. He's like, well, I got to get my website up. He's paying 25 grand for this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Stop the insanity. Let's focus on what is your business? Who's your market? What are their problems and how are you solving them? And he's like all over the place. I'm like, we can do a free landing page, one page with one action step. And guess what? You're going to be fine for a long time. Then when the money starts rolling in, then build your dang website.
Well, and most of the websites that you see don't do anything for anybody. They're kind of glamour projects for the owner. The owner thinks they look pretty and they take their friends and they go, oh, look at my new website. And the new website doesn't attract their customer. It doesn't have their customer interact with them. I mean, you know, people don't really understand what a website is. Like you said, put up a squeeze page for heaven's sakes. That's all you really need. If that squeeze page can get people interacting with you, then you've got something. If you haven't got that, what have you got, you know?
That's it. I mean, I know a business, he's been growing business 5 years into it, still does not have a website. And he's like, why? Why do I want to spend the money? He has a landing page that is crystal clear on who his market is, their problems, and his solution. And he gives away a guide. he has a drip campaign once they put their information in. He goes, I can turn the funnel on or off at any time. And he goes, it has all the information about my company, my team, all on the landing page. There's only one thing they can do. Give me their name and email. Done.
Yeah, make it super simple. And anyway, that's I mean, that's really the key, because if you aren't attracting people and keeping them on your site, I mean, you see these crazy tests out there. Oh, people, get to sites and they're gone in 4 seconds. Well, no wonder they're gone in 4 seconds. They haven't figured out why they would stay there. There's nothing that attracted them. They didn't know it was for them.
Yeah, it's the with them. And that's what we were just talking before we started. I'm in an accountability group. And we're helping someone with their with them. And they're like, well, I can't nail this message. It's like, well, who's your target market? Don't think of anything else except that right now. And they can't articulate it to a specific market or even two. It's like, until you can solve that, nothing else matters.
Well, you and I have both been around long enough to know that everybody comes at you first. Who's your target market?
Right.
Everybody. No, wrong, because everybody doesn't want what you have. I mean, you might be able to help people, but until they think that they need your help, you're not doing anything for them. So, I mean, it's like, who hears this message and who hears that message? And they forget that, if you want to approach business owners who are on Main Street, you need a very different message than if you want to approach coaches who have a LinkedIn, presence, because they just hear very different messages. Well, you may be able to help both of them, but not with the same message. And they better not think you're going after everybody, because they're not everybody. They want somebody who specializes in that.
You're so true. I mean, I teach this class called ABCs of Starting a Business, and it's pro bono. I do it every month. I've done it for 6 years. And, I hear that. Who's your target market? Everyone. It's like, I'm like, do you want to play right now? Can I play a little devil's advocate, not to put you down? And I'll play with them. And then that shows the whole room like, oh, everyone is not my market. Just by asking questions. That's it. Just questions. And then I see it. I mean, we even talk about McDonald's. McDonald's only has 3 markets, and they cater to those 3 markets only. And you think, well, they're spraying and praying to everyone. They're not. They actually have 3 specific markets. All their advertising, all their messaging goes to one of those markets. It's crystal clear. Each one of the ads targets just one of the market. The next ad you see targets a different market. Same on the third ad. They know they're not for everyone.
Well, and everybody who is successful knows they're not for everyone. First of all, you couldn't serve everyone. Even McDonald's couldn't serve everyone. So they don't want everybody coming in.
Everyone.
And they want a specific target market, and they set up their stores to be attractive to that particular target market. And I mean, that's clever marketing, and that's a successful business. And little coaches, people with little programs and stuff, who have a very, very good product, but for a tiny, tiny market. If they make it crystal clear to that tiny, tiny market, the tiny market is going to go, that's for me.
There you go. And people think, well, I'm going to lose all this other business. You're looking at it completely wrong. If you start niching down, guess what? You're going to attract your market, which is actually bigger than you think it is. And that's the amazing thing.
Well, that's the beauty of being virtual, right? I mean, it is an amazingly large market, even if you're after people who raise butterflies or, I don't know, raise caterpillars. I guess that's the precursor to butterflies, but, you have a huge market no matter how small your niche. And because of that, you really have to have that niche too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's where a lot of small business owners really miss the mark, and they wonder why, they're spending all this money. We've always heard it. Facebook ads don't work. These ads don't work. Blah, blah. It goes on and on. No, you're blaming the medium. What you should have been looking at is your strategy. You're blaming the tactics, the emails, the posting. You got to focus more on the strategy side of your message. Who's it going to talk to? Because we all want that as humans. It doesn't matter what culture you're in. It's like, I want someone to speak to me, not to all of us at once.
Yeah, I mean, if you open an email and it doesn't even have your name, and
Dear.
it doesn't talk about anything that you're the least bit interested in, it's like,
yeah,
unsubscribe.
Yeah. I don't know how I got an email last week on it, blockchain cryptocurrency, which I have zero interest in, and I know nothing about. And it's like, well, why are they targeting me? So I had to write back. I go, here's what I'm a business marketing strategist. Here's what I do. I can help you out because you're wasting money targeting people like me. But you need help.
Did you get anything back?
I got an autoresponder. It was a non
oh yeah, not
had
a
a
live
name,
thing.
but it went in. It was a fake email or one of those spam emails. So
Oh
it's like,
God.
there you go. There's another problem with businesses. You're spamming everyone, and now you're going to get a bad rep, and you're ruining your whole industry as well.
Yeah. And and they think that somehow that's clever. Oh, I used to be in these groups and you'd listen to them, and I sent out 50,000 emails. Holy smokes! What would you do with 50,000 clients if they suddenly all said, "Oh, I'm really interested"? It's just stupid.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've worked with clients. He spent $6,000 on a direct mailing postcard or a letter, and I'm like, "Where are you sending it?" And he was spraying and praying, and I'm like, "Let's narrow down who's your target market." We got it down to $1,000, and now all of a sudden he's hitting his target market, and we changed the messaging as well. He was only sending out now like just a couple hundred versus 10,000, and his phone started ringing. Oh. And now I'm like, you're creating another problem. He's like, what's that? And I go, you have to fulfill your obligation. And he goes, I never thought of that. I just wanted more revenue. It's like, you have to do what you say you're going to do.
No work, no money.
So it's something business owners also are not ready for. And it's shocking how fast sometimes these things hit. I mean, I just did it with a coach, a client who's a coach, and we changed his message. I go, how many can you honestly take? He goes, I can only take about 10 right now for this program. I go, put it on everything. Only 10, only 10, only 10. He's like, but, only 10. He got his 10 on his first mailing.
Wow.
I go, now you need to open up something next. And then we started talking about group coaching and so on and so on. But it's like, changing your message, you didn't change how many emails you sent out. You didn't change any of that. You stayed with that same target market. We just changed your message. That was it.
Well, and I mean, there's nothing like I can only take 10 people on a message that's actually targeted, because people read it and go, oh, I'd really be interested in that. And there's only 10 spots. Oh, I better jump on that right away.
And I'm a big believer. Don't do that game that a lot of people do. I only have 10 spots, but then you take 100. No, he can only take 10. Take 10, but now we had to put him through a qualifying to get to the 10. So he filled it that way. He disqualified a lot of people. He goes, I've never had to disqualify anyone in my past. I'm like, welcome to having a great message.
Well, and what a nice thing to have to do is disqualify people, because so oftentimes you get people who you're just praying that they can somehow get qualified, or they'll be okay, or it'll work out or something.
And it never does for both parties, unfortunately. So, as the saying goes, and get book solid, right? Put that red velvet rope up. It's your discotheque. Make it exclusive. Make it a VIP, and say who can come in and who can't.
And I mean, that's success. When you only cater to the VIPs, that's really success. I mean, that's the high end crowd that you want. It's not everybody.
Right. I mean, look at, certain products out there, even if it's product based, like Lamborghini, they don't advertise. They advertise only in one area, and that's in yacht clubs. Why? They know their market is not watching TV. They know their market does not read magazines. They know their market is only reading certain publications, and they're not even in those publications. But they also know their market hangs out on their social time at yacht clubs, and they're actually pre-qualifying their own target market. So they know if you're going to a yacht club, you own a yacht, and you can afford a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Do we all know about Lamborghini? Yes. Why? Other people talk about it.
Well, of course. I mean, and you actually see them on the road. So, I mean, it's not like their secret car.
No, they're open about it, but they also are very, very open. We're not for everyone.
Well, and that's true of all the super high end brands. They're not for everybody. And they are happy to tell you they're not for everybody.
That's it. Tesla, Mercedes, I mean, name any of those. They tell you who their target market is to a T. They have that science down. And they go, we're not for everyone. We know that. So what?
Yeah. And, I mean, Tesla started at the very, very, very high end because they knew that they needed people who, wanted something extremely unique, extremely unaffordable, extremely different, so they could be the talk of the town. And they'd put up with a little discomfort and the fact that maybe they didn't get to the office that day, or they had to drive the second car or whatever, while they were working out the kinks. But they knew that end of the market, because they had this hot looking electric car. And I mean, what they worked on was that acceleration, because I had a couple of guys in groups I was in say, oh man, I jumped in, this was going back a couple of years, when Tesla was coming out, and the guy said, floor it. And I went, whoa, that's pretty fast. He said, no, floor it.
Right. They figured out the whole torque issue and everything else. And yeah, you go to a Tesla dealership, and I know I have one where I live, and they got a whopping 2 cars in the showroom. No, not a car to be found around them. Just 2 cars inside the showroom. Done. That's all you get to look at. And you know what? They're selling cars.
Well, they can't keep up with their sales. I mean, they can't keep up with their sales. What did I see? Somehow their backlog was, I don't know, 6 months or 2 years or something totally ridiculous. I don't know.
That's true. But that's the same thing. You could do that in your business, no matter what size you are. You can not backlog, but put up who you really want as your market and bring those people in. That's going to drive the rest of your business. And
give the people that come in that extraordinary experience.
Let them talk about you in the good way.
Because that's really where everybody can make money, and it's so sad to see coaches working one-on-one when really group actually works better, because people can learn from one another too, and you don't have to work nearly as hard, and they'll have a better experience, and you can actually make money without killing yourself.
So true. And then one of my phase is masterminds because I've facilitated so many masterminds. So it kind of takes group coaching to a whole different level. And I'm a huge fan of group coaching because all the members in the group gain so much more knowledge than being one-on-one.
Well,
And
I
I'm a
mean,
big believer.
it's just, when you're one-on-one, you have a coach who's answering your questions, working with you on your problems, and you don't even see the other problems that are actually there because you haven't reached them yet. Whereas you could be solving all these other problems simply by being part of a group. And you go, oh, I guess I should be ready for that. Oh, maybe I should handle that. Oh, I didn't even think about that. And, your coach is just trying to make sure that they get your problem solved. And if you don't bring it up, that, they may have a session that talks about different things, but we all hear things differently too. I mean, that's the thing that's always been interesting to me is, I hear this and you hear this. We sat through the same speech and I have a great interest and thought the guy was definitely talking about this. And you have a great interest and you thought the guy was definitely talking about that. And it's like, did you hear the same thing I did? But, because we're different people. And, that's where really you have to talk to a particular person. And even when you're talking to a particular person, you're only talking to a part of that person because, that they have lots of different interests and you're going to satisfy some of them. And they'll realize that they should be asking more questions if, in fact, there's other people in the same group, because it just is so much more beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, I've seen so much magic happen in masterminds and in groups. It's, I can write books and books on every single one of those scenarios, and it'd be just mind blowing because you can't create this. It's so organic. And when someone says, I've heard someone, they were in the hot seat, they were struggling with a problem that they already spent $3 million on it, and it took them 3 years, and they don't have a solution, and they're at wit's end, and they can't figure it out. So people are asking questions, not telling, asking questions. And then one person goes, hey, have you ever thought of this? And the second he said it, the room, it was like everyone died, had a heart attack. It went dead quiet because everyone, it hit us all in the face, like, oh my God, none of us thought like that. And the second that happened, the guy started crying. He goes, I never thought of that. He left that meeting right then and there, went, called all his people together, told them, let's think this through. That afternoon, they fixed it. They fired all the consultants that were helping. Their business, they gained an extra $2 million within 2 months because they solved the problem with one question.
Wow.
That's impactful. And that cannot happen in one-on-one. It may, but the odds are lower. But having a room full of like-minded peers is the magic.
Well, and that's why Henry Ford and people like that who were really breaking new ground said it's got to be a mastermind.
They were all in, well, they called them salon groups back then. Benjamin Franklin is the one who started salon dinners to bring people who he thought would gain something from someone else. So he brings them to his house, has a dinner, and then they go to the salon and talk about their businesses, political, all that, and solve problems. And he continually did this. Those people went out and did the same thing in their worlds. So that it starts spreading, and all the wealth of knowledge now goes up higher. I mean, all of a sudden, high tides raise ships. Their tides back, those groups back then were pretty high tide, I'd say.
Oh yeah, no kidding. I mean, that they were the movers and shakers of those days. I mean, they were the ones that were really, really changing the world as people knew it at the time.
Right. Carnegie, I mean, all these people, even before Think and Grow Rich was formed. I mean, it's like he found out, wait a minute, there's all these groups that you business owners meet together and you talk about stuff. What? It wasn't called masterminds then. There's
No.
salons.
Yeah. I mean, they did their thing in salons. And, so I've often thought about doing a group called business soiree, because it was sort of a soiree, that these people did at the same time, and use it for the same effect, because it really is what you're doing when you get together with other people, and you're there to talk about things that you are happy about, but also struggling with, because other people are not going to hear it the same way. They're not going to see it the same way. And you may, like that guy who just, okay, I'm out of here. I got the answer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whatever, millions he'd paid to be in that group, he was happy camper.
Yeah. Thank God it was very affordable. So he got a deal of the lifetime on it. So his
Yeah.
ROI in 2 months, I mean, was in the, tens of hundreds of thousands %. And it's like, he came back and he actually came back after his problem was solved and gave way more now to the group. Like, he did everything in his possible, that he brought his computer to find contacts, to give resources. He was just like to a different level he just achieved. And he's like, because he knows he can't repay this monetarily, because no one will accept it, because that's, the way the group is. But how can he contribute? And I kid you not, the stuff he started bringing to everyone was just like, he never would have done that months and months ago, because he wasn't in that moment. He wasn't there yet.
Right. And people don't always realize what value they can provide, I mean, they don't really think about it. It's just kind of like, well, of course I know that, but it sometimes doesn't dawn on them that is valuable, until they go, well, have you tried this? Or what about that? Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, I was brought into a couple of companies to turn them around, get them back on track and revenue and everything. And in one of the organizations, I'd walk in, because the average tenure of employee was 28 years.
Wow.
Average. So they don't bring on too many new people without someone leaving, because they were a tight-knit group. And I kept hearing, we've always done it this way. And I go, well, that's why I'm here, because you've always done it this way and the business went like this. And then I put a rule in right away. Anyone who said that had to go to the admin office and put $1 in a jar. At the end of the year, I'll throw a big party with all that money. It was unbelievable. 6 months in, I never heard that phrase from anyone ever again. I got to say, we threw one heck of a party. It was over 10 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how often I heard it.
Wow.
And people honored it. And then they realized, we've always done it that way. Put us almost to the point of the business closing.
Well, and you've always done it that way, and this is what you've got. You can't keep doing it that way and expect a different result. I mean, it's sort of like, keep doing it the same way, you're really likely to get the same result.
That's it. And you always have to respect the data, respect the history, but you also have to look where you're going. And that was the one thing I started instilling. Where did we want the business to go? Because we don't have a target, so we're just driving around aimlessly in the desert. So we need to figure that out. Once we figured it out, we also talked about who our target market was. And anytime someone said everyone, there was a joke in the room, because it was an 1880s Western theme town. You now had to go on the front of the stage and you were shot. Because no one was hurt. They're blanks. And we had these, where everyone's trained to do this. So we literally shoot people in the room for thinking backwards. And it was amazing how the mindset of just not the leaders, the entire organization shifted to now knowing who their market was and why we are here and what our goals are. I could have gone up to any employee anytime, So who do we serve? Boom. What are we here for? Boom, boom, boom. What is our mission, vision? I mean, everyone knew it. And I didn't teach them. It was just, it became part of the culture because we developed it to get rid of the old mindset. Now, when people go, what are you guys about? Customers were asking, and blah, 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 blah. And they were like, whoa, I want to be here. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just lazy thinking, because you've done it that way before. And did you get the results you want? And is that good enough? And is that going to let you grow?
Yeah. At one place, I was brought in to, the last company went bankrupt, so the old owner bought it back in, so it was all beaten up. The people, business, I mean, it was nasty. So they said, hey, let's develop a 7-year plan to turn this around and get back to when I owned it before. So we created a plan of action, and we got the right people on board. We got the right attitudes. We changed the mindset. Next thing you know, 2.5 years later, the owner goes, hey, I sold the place. Why? He goes, do you know that you hit your 7-year numbers, all the goals, in 2.5?
Wow.
And we were like, we were tracking it. We thought we were just doing really good. He goes, you did too good.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't believe how fast this half hour goes by. It's just poof. Because I have the most amazing guests, and you certainly have been definitely somebody giving us food for thought. So how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, well, I do have a website.
Oh, a website. Oh, good.
So that's Biz Coach Steve. It's BIZ Coach Steve. Or just give me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to people. It's not a sales call for 15 minutes or something. And that's just Steve at bizcoachsteve.com. And I've been doing this for years in my business, just talking to business owners, because you need someone to talk to every now and then who doesn't judge you, not trying to sell you stuff, and just there to listen and help. And I've done that for years, and I don't know how many hundreds of these calls I've ever done. And can I help everyone? No, but can I point them in the right resources, people, whatever it takes? Like I said, I'm not here to sell my stuff on you. It's to help.
Well, it really sounds like you are an amazing resource, and I encourage the listeners to, in fact, reach out and see what resources you have for them, because it's your experience is amazing.
Thanks. That I found my passion a long time ago, and that's helping business owners survive and thrive and build the business that they want, so they realize their goals and dreams. And it's been my whole passion since. And once I found it, it was like, it sparks me every single day.
That's awesome. That's a great way to live.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to seeing you there on LinkedIn, there on Facebook, wherever our paths cross.
Thank you very much for having me.